It's June 1965. Private First Class James Wilson is 20 years old. He grew up in rural Ohio, never been further than Columbus. 3 weeks ago, he was working at his father's gas station. Today, he's standing in the jungle outside Da Nang, Vietnam. It's 100 degrees. The jungle is so thick, he can't see 10 feet in front of him. Somewhere out there, an enemy that doesn't wear a uniform. That could be anyone. That could be no one. James doesn't know why he's here exactly. His government told him the dominoes were falling, that communism had to be stopped, that Vietnam was the line. He believed them. 2 million American boys, just like James, would believe them too. And the bill for that belief would come to $1 trillion. And still, they lost. To understand Vietnam, you need to understand the world in 1955. America had just won World War II. The economy was booming. The military was the most powerful the world had ever seen. And Washington believed, genuinely believed, that American power could solve any problem. The theory was called the domino theory. If one country fell to communism, its neighbors would follow, one after another, like dominoes. Vietnam had been split in two after French colonial rule collapsed. North Vietnam, communist, backed by the Soviet Union and China. South Vietnam, a democracy, backed by Washington. President Eisenhower sent advisors. Kennedy sent more. Then, in 1964, an incident in the Gulf of Tonkin. North Vietnamese torpedo boats allegedly attacked a U.S. destroyer. Congress gave President Johnson unlimited authority to respond. The machinery of war began to move, and nobody, not one person in Washington, truly understood what they were walking into. Now, let's talk about the money. At peak deployment in 1969, the Vietnam War was costing America $25 billion per year. Write that down, $25 billion per year. That's $68 million per day, $2.8 million per hour, $47,000 per minute of every day for years. The direct military cost, $168 billion. In today's money, over $1 trillion. But wait, that number doesn't include the $500 billion in veterans' benefits that America is still paying today. Vietnam veterans are still alive. Their families are still collecting. It doesn't include the economic damage from the inflation the war caused. The dollar lost 40% of its value between 1965 and 1975, directly because of war spending. Add everything together, economists put the true total between $800 billion and $1.2 trillion. And then there were the bombs. America dropped 7 million tons of explosives on Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. All Allied forces in all of World War II dropped 3 million tons. America dropped more than twice that, on a country the size of California. 40 tons of explosives for every square kilometer of Vietnam, every hill, every rice paddy, every village. And here is the part that should make every American taxpayer's jaw drop. Every Tuesday, every single Tuesday, President Johnson sat down for lunch at the White House and personally picked the bombing targets for the week. Not the generals, not the Pentagon. The President of the United States. At lunch, choosing which bridges, which factories, which roads in North Vietnam would be destroyed that week. This was called Operation Rolling Thunder. 3 years of sustained bombing, from 1965 to 1968. The goal? Bomb North Vietnam so hard they would agree to stop the war. America lost 530 aircraft, hundreds of pilots killed or captured. Billions of dollars of the most advanced military technology ever built shot out of the sky over the jungle. And then the CIA delivered its verdict. No evidence of any reduction in the enemy's will to fight. No evidence. 3 years. Billions of dollars. 500 aircraft. Hundreds of pilots. No evidence. It didn't work, not even a little. Back to Private James Wilson in the jungle. By 1969, there were 543,000 Americans just like him in Vietnam. Each one cost America $13,000 per year just to keep in the field, before combat, before equipment, before air support. And they were fighting an enemy that America's trillion-dollar machine simply could not find. The Viet Cong lived in tunnels. They moved at night. They looked like farmers by day. America's measure of success became body count. How many enemies did you kill today? That was the metric, not territory held, not civilians protected, not progress toward peace, just bodies. And the numbers were lies. Commanders under pressure to show results classified civilians as enemy combatants, inflated the counts, sent false reports up the chain. Washington was making trillion-dollar decisions based on data that everyone knew was fake. Then came January 1968, the Tet Offensive. North Vietnam attacked over 100 cities simultaneously. Militarily, it failed. North Vietnam took devastating losses. But on television, in American living rooms, it looked like the war was being lost. The American people had been told for years, "We are winning. Victory is near." Tet proved that was a lie. And something broke in America that night, something that $1 trillion could not buy back. Nixon won the 1968 election with one central promise. He had a secret plan to end the war. There was no plan. What Nixon had was a theory. He called it the madman theory. Act so unpredictable, so dangerous, that North Vietnam would back down out of fear. Instead, Nixon secretly expanded the war. Without telling Congress, without telling the American people, he ordered massive bombing of Cambodia and Laos, countries that were officially neutral. More bombs fell on Laos than on Germany in all of World War II. Laos became the most heavily bombed country per capita in the history of the world. The bombing destabilized Cambodia, contributed directly to the rise of Pol Pot, whose Khmer Rouge would go on to kill a quarter of Cambodia's entire population. A direct consequence of America's secret war. A direct consequence paid for by the American taxpayer. In 1973, Nixon signed the Paris Peace Accords. America called it peace with honor. Everyone knew what it really was. In the Oval Office, Nixon was recorded telling his advisors he just needed a decent interval, enough time between the American withdrawal and the inevitable fall of South Vietnam so it wouldn't look like defeat. He got his interval, 2 years. April 30th, 1975. North Vietnamese tanks rolled through Saigon. At the American embassy, desperate crowds stormed the gates, people clinging to helicopter skids. The last American helicopter lifted off the embassy roof as Saigon fell below. Private James Wilson, if he made it home, watched it on television 10 years after he stood in that jungle outside Da Nang, the country he fought for. Gone. Now let's add up the bill one final time. $1 trillion, 7 million tons of bombs, 58,220 Americans dead, between 2 and 4 million Vietnamese dead, 20 years of America's wealth, attention, and credibility. What did it buy? A unified communist Vietnam. Exactly what America spent $1 trillion trying to prevent. There is a wall in Washington, D.C., black granite, 246 feet long. On it, 58,000 names. Each one a James Wilson. Each one someone's son, someone's father, someone who believed. The Vietnam Wall cost $3 million to build. The war that made it necessary cost $1 trillion. And America never quite got back what it lost there. Not the money, not the lives, not the belief that it was invincible. So here is what I want to know. Could America have won in Vietnam if it had spent that $1 trillion differently? Or was it unwinnable at any price? Leave your answer below. And if you want more stories where history gets priced, subscribe to HistoryBilled. Every war has a price tag. This one cost America more than it ever wanted to pay.